There are two ways to sync the toss arm with the hitting arm. You can make them go up together, or you can lag the hitting arm behind the toss arm. Lagging the hitting arm behind the toss arm is by far the most commonly used technique among the best servers of all time. On the ATP Tour all-time career aces top 20 list, there's only one player that has the up together type movement, and that's Andy Roddick. All the other players in the top 20 greatest servers of all time serve with a lag. The WTA Tour does not keep all-time career ace statistics, so I took this year's top 20 ace leaders. And just like the men, there was only one player that used the up-together type movement, and that's Garcia. All the other players use the lag. There are potential problems with the up-together type technique, and if a player was to bring both arms up together in an abbreviated take-back like this, there has to be a stop. In other words, the arms are going up too fast, and while the ball's in the air, the racket has to stop and then wait for the ball to come down, and that interrupts the momentum, and you basically have to start from zero from the trophy position. However, if a player has more of a full backswing where the racket goes towards the back fence before it gets into the trophy phase and the arms are going up together, that indeed would be a more continuous swing a la Stan Wawrinka. And while the up-together movement looks simple, there are potential problems within this simplicity. And there are examples of players who can perform the up-together type movement well, players such as Andy Roddick, Stan Wawrinka, or Bjorn Borg. But issues with timing and rhythm are very frequent among recreational players who employ an up-together type service action. It is no coincidence that the lag is used by the greatest servers in the history of the game. Just to give you a few examples, on the Women Tour, players such as Brenda Schultz-McCarthy, Sabine Lisicki, Madison Keys, Julia Gerges, the Pliskova sisters, and the Williams sisters all use the lag. On the Men's Tour, players such as Sampras, Ivanisevic, Becker, Stich, Sam Querrey, Nick Kyrgios, John Isner, and the #1 ace leader of all time, Ivo Karlovic, all use the lag. The lag serve technique can work with many different styles of serves. So you can work with a full take back, a la Pete Sampras or Goran Ivanisevic, where they toss the ball first while the racket is simultaneously moving all the way back like this. It can also work with a serve where the racket is pointing down towards the ground with a full extension of the arm. And it can also work with a semi-abbreviated serve, a la John Isner, where the racket is pointing towards the side and with a slight bending of the arm. And you can also have different amounts of lag among the pro players. So players such as Federer and Raonic have very little lag. So that means that the toss arm is just slightly ahead of the hitting arm, just very, very slightly ahead of the hitting arm. And then you have the other extreme, a player like Ivo Karlovic, who tosses first, but then actually waits on the bottom. And then once the ball's up in the air, he starts to go into his take back and into the trophy phase. When you toss the ball first while the hitting arm is waiting behind, you are guaranteed to have a more continuous motion. In other words, the racket arm is chasing the toss, so there's actually absolutely no time to stop, and that is a big advantage when it comes to swing momentum. So when you toss the ball first, the racket continuously has to move in order to catch up with the ball. The great thing about the lag is that we actually are separating the toss from the take back. So now you can solely focus on tossing the ball first, and then you can focus on taking the racket up, as opposed to doing both things simultaneously, which can be a big problem for some players. Almost all players who have a pinpoint stance will also have a lag, and it's because it's much easier to time the pulling up of the back foot with the take back. And it should look like this. You're going to toss the ball first, and now the ball's already in the air, and now as the racket is going up into the trophy phase, you also are pulling the back foot up, and this is a perfect timing when it comes to the power transfer. I'm going to try now to do 2 different pinpoint serves, one with up together and pinpoint, and then one with a lag and the pinpoint. So first it's going to be up together. I'm going to try to do a pinpoint stance. Again, so I made that one, but I felt like I lost my balance a little bit, and I had that little pause right in the trophy phase, and I didn't feel like I hit the serve well. So let me try one where I'm going to lag the racket behind and then do a pinpoint stance. Let's see what happens. Okay, that felt a lot better. I feel like the weight transfer was seamless. Everything synced in perfectly together. I didn't even have to think about it. Automatically, as I was swinging up towards the trophy phase and pulling the back foot up, I just simply exploded into the serve, and it was a very seamless service action. And most importantly, the lag will give you more power on the serve. Now, it might not be much, might be 5%, 10%, but it is a more powerful way to serve. And all the record holders on both the WTA Tour and the ATP Tour, if we're talking about Ivanisevic Williams or Sabine Lisicki, or if we're talking about Sampras or Ivo Karlovic, they all serve with a lag. So there is more power created with a lag because the racket is picking up more swing momentum. If you happen to have a pinpoint stance, it syncs with the pinpoint stance perfectly, and it results in a more continuous, smooth motion that will give you more power. If you happen to have an up-together type serve, can you switch to a lag? Yes, you can. And one pro player who's done that switch is Querrey, who used to have an up-together type serve and then switched it to a full lag with a slight pause on the bottom, a la Ivo Karlovic, and she's been serving fantastic ever since, has won Wimbledon and was ranked #2 in the world. The up-together serve works well for some players, and if you're one of those players, then of course you shouldn't switch your serve. However, if you suffer from very common technical deficiencies on the serve, for example on your toss, your take back, or maybe in the racket drop area, performing both of these problem areas together can only make things worse. So it makes a lot of sense to separate them and then to work on the toss first while the racket legs behind, and then once you develop a good toss, then you can start working on the take back. So it's a good idea that if you have problems on your serve, to give the lag a try.